What if I told you that the future of an entire continent once depended on a fragile wooden fort surrounded by swamps, hunger, disease, and hostile territory, where survival was never guaranteed and death waited behind every tree? In 1607, on the distant shores of North America, a small group of English settlers arrived at a place they would call Jamestown, and from their desperate struggle for life would rise the foundations of what would one day become a global superpower. At the beginning of the 17th century, England was locked in fierce competition with Spain and France for wealth, land, and influence. Across the Atlantic, vast territories promised gold, new trade routes, and limitless resources. Merchants, nobles, and investors dreamed of building overseas empires. In 1606, a group of businessmen formed the Virginia Company of London, hoping to profit from colonization. They convinced the king to grant them permission to establish a settlement in North America. Their goal was simple: find wealth, expand English power, and bring glory to the crown. In December 1606, 3 small ships crossed the dangerous Atlantic Ocean, carrying just over 100 men and boys into the unknown. Storms battered them, food spoiled, disease spread. Many feared they would never see land again. After months at sea, they finally reached the coast of present-day Virginia in May 1607. Exhausted but hopeful, they sailed up a wide river and chose a marshy peninsula for their settlement. They named it Jamestown in honor of King James I. At first glance, the location seemed perfect. The river offered protection from enemy ships, the land was easy to defend, forests provided timber. But beneath the surface, Jamestown was a deadly trap. The water was salty and polluted, mosquitoes carried disease, the soil was poor for farming, summers were unbearably hot, winters were freezing. From the moment the settlers built their first wooden walls, survival became their greatest enemy. Most of the settlers were not farmers or builders. Many were gentlemen, adventurers, or fortune seekers who had never worked with their hands. They dreamed of gold and quick riches, not planting crops or digging wells. Instead of preparing for winter, they searched for precious metals that did not exist. Food supplies ran low. Illness spread rapidly. Within months, dozens were dead. Jamestown stood on the edge of collapse. Among the settlers was a bold and determined leader, John Smith. Unlike many others, he understood that survival required discipline, cooperation, and hard work. He imposed strict rules, declaring that those who do not work shall not eat. He organized food collection, construction, and defense. He explored nearby rivers, mapped the land, and negotiated with local tribes. Under his leadership, Jamestown gained its first real chance to survive. The settlers were not alone in this land. Powerful Native American tribes lived in the region, united under the leadership of Chief Powhatan. At first, relations were tense but cautious. Both sides watched each other carefully. The English needed food. The Powhatan people needed protection from rival tribes and access to European goods. Sometimes they traded. Sometimes they fought. Trust was fragile, and violence could erupt at any moment. One of the most famous figures of this early period was Pocahontas, the daughter of Chief Powhatan. According to legend, she saved John Smith's life when he was captured by her people, though historians still debate the details. What is certain is that she played a key role in improving relations between the settlers and the natives, helping deliver food and messages that kept Jamestown alive during its darkest days. Despite these efforts, disaster soon struck. In 1609, a supply ship was wrecked in a storm, delaying desperately needed aid. That winter became known as the starving time. Food ran out completely. Horses, dogs, and rats were eaten. Leather shoes were boiled for soup. Some settlers dug up corpses. Others resorted to cannibalism. Of more than 500 people in Jamestown, only about 60 survived the winter. The colony was on the brink of extinction. In 1610, survivors prepared to abandon Jamestown and return to England. But at the last moment, new ships arrived with supplies, soldiers, and leaders. The colony was saved. Stronger defenses were built. Farming was encouraged. Order was restored. Jamestown would not disappear so easily. A turning point came with the introduction of tobacco cultivation by John Rolfe. He developed a strain that was popular in Europe, and suddenly Jamestown had a valuable export. Tobacco became the colony's economic engine. Fields expanded, profits grew, more settlers arrived. Jamestown transformed from a desperate outpost to a profitable settlement. In 1614, Rolfe married Pocahontas, symbolizing a brief period of peace between the English and Native Americans. For several years, trade flourished and violence decreased, but this peace would not last. After Pocahontas died in England in 1617, tensions returned. Competition for land intensified. Conflicts grew more brutal. In 1622, a massive Native American attack killed hundreds of settlers, shocking the colony and hardening attitudes on both sides. Meanwhile, Jamestown also witnessed the beginnings of American political and social systems. In 1619, the first representative assembly in North America, the House of Burgesses, met in Jamestown, laying the foundation for future self-government. That same year, the first recorded Africans arrived in Virginia, marking the beginning of slavery in English North America, a development that would shape centuries of history. Over time, Jamestown declined as new towns and plantations grew. Fires, disease, and changing trade routes weakened it. In 1699, the colonial capital moved elsewhere, and Jamestown faded into ruins. But its legacy remained powerful. It had proven that permanent English settlement in North America was possible. It had opened the door to massive migration. It had planted the seeds of American society, economy, and government. The story of Jamestown is not a tale of easy victory. It is a story of desperation, mistakes, courage, suffering, and stubborn survival. It is the story of people who crossed an ocean chasing dreams, faced death at every turn, and refused to give up. From muddy swamps and starving winters emerged the first chapter of English America, a fragile beginning that would one day grow into a nation that reshaped the world.